Sixers sign Dwight Howard to a league minimum deal. It's $2.6 million this year. I'm going to give a little background here. Counts $1.6 million against the cap. Important thing about the signing is that it is league minimum, so they still get their full mid-level exception, which is what, $5.6 million or something they can spend on one player or two. Dwight Howard played for Morey in Houston, where it ended poorly. He was supposedly staying in Los Angeles, according to a tweet from Dwight Howard, which basically said purple and gold forever or something, then ends up here. The story from Chris Haynes at Yahoo is that Joel Embiid started recruiting Dwight Howard. And the only other thing I have here is that Dwight Howard did say, I think like 3 days ago, that he basically played for free last year and wanted to get paid this year. And here we are. I don't know if you want my response first or yours.
I mean, I like that Joel is in the recruiting business. I think that is a positive.
Sure.
And that they, seem to be working in tandem with that. And Dwight as a backup with the Lakers in limited minutes was very effective. His per 36 numbers are very good. He did all the limited things you wanted him to do, which is rebound like crazy, set screens and roll like crazy, and just like protect the rim some. Basically doing none of the 30-year-old Dwight stuff where he's trying to post up or he's trying to do cool stuff. It's like the most bare bones, like Tyson Chandler, be a big, that I've ever seen. And it was fine and it was good. And yeah, obviously he's big and physical and stuff. And he seemed to be on his best behavior, playing for LeBron, which is, pretty much true.
Yeah.
And so on that end, he's the best backup center that Embiid's had in his career, which I guess is good. Depending on how you feel about Horford. But I don't know, you and I disagree with this about some things, but I like rooting, and maybe we don't, I don't know. He just doesn't seem like a good guy. There's been various weird reports over the years. He pisses off teammates. He wears out his welcome everywhere. He's criminally unfunny. There's so many things, and it's just I like rooting for guys that I like, and here's one who just I straight up don't. And so maybe he's gonna be fine. Maybe I'll we can just ignore it as a backup center type, just do his job. But it bummed me out some yesterday.
I actually am with you, not because I don't personally like him. Look, I would always rather root for somebody that I personally like, even if it's not as a person. I generally don't know any of these guys as people, but even just what they exude on the court, that's what I liked about Starks, right? Starks seemed like I've never met him. I don't know if he's a good person or not, but I sort of liked the way he was on the court. Look, I know part of the Morey thing is the chemistry doesn't matter and yada, 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 and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Well, it's sort of true.
He did. He said when we had him on the podcast, you asked him what's more important in a coach.
In a coach, but not in other players.
But I think that's part of it. I think if he said if he thought chemistry didn't matter, then he would have said being the best, having the best system and stuff. Well,
what I would say is that the same thing you said. I'm not gonna like every move that he makes. I don't like this move at all, really. And all I did was sort of innocuously tweet, I'm not sure about this. And I got a bunch of people back saying, the thing that you said, they keep the MLE and they can use it on a guard. And
yeah, it's obviously not a bad contract. It's the minimum.
Yeah. Yeah. And this has nothing to do with me wanting Nerlens. The Nerlens thing was just funny. That's it. Everybody hates him. I honestly can't think of another player in the NBA over the last 10 years who is more universally disliked by every teammate he plays with than Dwight Howard. I can't think of anything. And the comparison to the Lakers is, and again, if he's a problem, they can just cut him.
Yeah.
He's league minimum, right? It's not that big a deal, but this is what we have to deal with. So it's what we're going to talk about. The enormous difference between the Lakers and the Sixers is the Lakers have LeBron and Anthony Davis on that team, and we're going after a title. And I don't know if you remember it, there were all these things where LeBron had to talk to Dwight Howard before they signed him, and they all had to be sure of it. The Sixers don't have any of that. There's no established culture. There's no leader. There's no anything. And it's funny. I was thinking about it. What would I hate more? Joel Embiid hating Dwight Howard, or Joel Embiid really liking Dwight Howard and getting along with they're both terrible options. So it might end up fine. And I understand that the contract part of it, I get it. And yes, it is definitely a good backup center for Embiid, but nobody likes him. I don't need a super popular guy, but people even like Rajon Rondo. There are players that have been known as bad guys or bad chemistry guys or whatever that other players have liked. Can you think of anybody who's like, man, I love Dwight Howard? I can't think of any of them.
No, I mean, I
don't love it.
The benefit, I don't think it's that much different between the Sixers and Lakers, aside from the very big difference of LeBron. I don't think, Anthony Davis wasn't a guy who commanded a bunch of teammates respect in New Orleans or anything.
Sure, but the LeBron difference is enormous.
Yeah, and so I think the benefit is that we have Danny Green, who played with him last year, and I would guess that Daryl or enough people talked to Danny and was like, yeah, how was it? Was it bad? What are we talking about? And so if Danny signed off on it, at least he can tell people, I think Alyssa told me this, at least Danny can tell people to ignore Dwight. Just be like, this is we don't have to listen to. He's also an anti-vaxxer, and he's just a weird guy, and it's a pandemic. We don't need that energy in anything. It's very bizarre. It is a backup center, so whatever. Yes, they can cut him. It just feels like on a team where there's always, armchair psychologists looking, grading for body language, and, me constantly pushing for a safe trip to Napa. It just feels like, why throw this into the mix? Kem Birch would never do anything to anybody. He would just do the same stuff, and I've never heard him talk, and probably never would. And so there's a bunch of that stuff. I also do, from a more basketball perspective, and maybe they still go for it, I also really want a legitimate stretch five behind Joel. And Dwight's obviously not that. I would have loved a Terrence Ferguson for Luke Cornett trade. Would be really good for me.
For the minutes that Ben's on and Joel's off.
Right. And so, I mean, I think, Doc's going to want to run pick and roll. Dwight is a good screen and roller. We still don't really have a pick and roll guard to do that stuff with. I mean, I guess Seth can do it some, Maxey can do it some, but he's a rookie. Shake a little bit. I think Doc probably saw Shake play one time and thinks because he blew up the Clippers, he probably thinks he's one of the best players in the league. And so I still waiting to see how more things shake out. I do think that there's more to come. They have currently, if they sign Isaiah Joe to a real contract, and presuming they keep Paul Reed on a two-way. We got to talk about the other guy on the two-way also, by the way. Don't sneak that past me.
I'm not trying to sneak it past you. I just don't even know his name.
That's fine.
So,
they have one available roster spot. They have 14 out of 15 roster spots filled. So I think that there's going to be some movement. I would still like we can get to free agency. I would still like a couple more. There's two more things that I would like. And so it's fine. It's annoying. It might blow up on our faces. To me, the risk reward is not super worth it. It was weird because the Lakers, he tweeted that he's going back to the Lakers, and then the Lakers were like, no, not quite. And then they went and got Montrezl Harrell, and so he had to delete the tweet, and he's coming here instead, which is okay. Not everything can be great, you guys.
It is. That's another shirt. It is. I mean, obviously they got Harrell, so that explains that. But the fact that the Lakers didn't want him back on a minimum either is, I don't know. He's just so lame. And okay, last thing is he did play the role last year.
Yeah.
But his whole I want to get paid thing.
No, I want to get paid the minimum. That's what he got.
Yeah.
Not like it's like, hey, back up the truck for the legal least amount you could pay me.
I do worry that we get the other Dwight showing that he's still got it. I don't know. He's so lame. Yeah. He's so lame.
I was also bummed.
Man.
I thought that the Lakers were going to. It seemed like the Lakers were going to sign Marc Gasol, which I would have liked. Mm-hmm. Get his ass out of Toronto, please. Hopefully that is still to come. But Chris Dunn just signed with the Atlanta Hawks, 2 years, $10 million. I'll be breaking that news all podcasts, just so you know. Back to Dwight. I will say that there's some value to me because they haven't had any guy who would just like clean up shit and rise over and dunk it over people in a while, basically since I guess Rashawn probably. And too often guys go. I mean, Horford went up. No one went up softer than Horford for most of the season, and so it'll be nice to just be like easy buckets is something that this team has not had much enough of, and so hopefully we can just be like he gobbles up offensive rebounds and put it back, and just like I don't want him. He shouldn't be allowed to talk. He shouldn't be allowed to dribble. Like there should be more restrictions. I need the LeBron rules to apply here.